Hello and welcome to Talk from Superheroes. Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Ivemy.
And I'm Diana McCullum.
And you're listening to Talk from Superheroes, where every week we discuss a piece of superhero television or film. And this week we are talking about the Hulu original / Disney Plus trickle outer. We're talking about M.O.D.O.K this week.
Marvel's M.O.D.O.K, I believe. One of those annoying shows.
Oh, that's right. They still...
Every letter has the dot. Also,
yeah.
I like the Marvel. Makes it easier to search. But
right.
Sometimes you're looking for it and you're like, if I don't put the dots in, am I going to find it? And you're like, no, I didn't.
Like, yeah, I get that M.O.D.O.K is an acronym, but we don't need to put it in the official show title.
It's like S.H.I.E.L.D. did that too.
And also, there's a few things that we'll get into it in the episode, but
that's
like
what we do.
The title alone, I'm like, I thought we were over this Marvels thing, but we'll talk about more of that a little bit later in the full bulk of the episode.
With the full bulk.
Yeah, but we're going to be talking about M.O.D.O.K today, and we're going to be talking about the full season, all 10 episodes. We've watched it all. We've seen all of it. It is 100% of it is currently available and streaming through Hulu. If you are a Disney Plus user, they are releasing it weekly. So we will be talking about the whole season, though.
We're talking about the whole season. I think there are 2 episodes on Disney Plus when this comes out. So we're going to cover the whole season, but we're going to do a spoiler-free review first for those of you who might be stuck watching it weekly on Disney Plus.
If you're a Disney Plus user,
so
or
we're here for you.
If you haven't watched it all, we're going to hit you up with a spoiler-free review. So no spoilies. We're going to break it down for you in case you're on the fence, unsure about watching, or just want a little taste of the episode before you get full in. Then once you hear the theme music, that's when we're going to get into the full spoiler-filled section. So to start it off with a spoiler-free review, the simple question, Diana, do you like it?
I do really like it. Yeah, it's quite good. There are about 3 episodes that are stellar, that are just really great. And then there are some episodes that are just fine, but there are no episodes that are just bombs. There's maybe like one that had like very few laughs, but like there's no episode where I'm like, oh, this is less quality or I'm not involved in this. The humor really lands. It's like very Robot Chicken-esque, but like toned down. It's not as chaotic and as in your face and like you can only take 12 minutes of it like with Robot Chicken. So I'm having a pretty good time. I like that the humor does this very interesting thing of being very crass and toilet humory a lot of times but kind of in a sophisticated way. I'm never grossed out by the gross stuff.
It's crass, but it's not juvenile.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's not juvenile.
Patton is a very sophisticated type of nerd humor that is also, but like, yeah, it's not like a teen comedy, but it's also not like mature. A very fine line has been walked with the humor in this show that I quite enjoy. So I'm having quite a good time. I'm not going to give it a love. About 3 episodes were a love, and the rest were like, oh, yeah, they're good. Andrew, did you like it?
I like it. I like it a lot. It doesn't, again, same as you, doesn't quite get up to a love for me, but I've really enjoyed this show. It's had a handful of really good laughs. I would say that the show is mostly kind of charming and left me smiling more than it left me like laughing out loud. I do feel like it's lacking a few like real big belly laugh memorable moments. These like it doesn't have like quotable moments. It doesn't have anything that I'm really taking away from it to be like, fuck, I'm never going to forget that joke. But it is the whole time I was smiling and like laughing a little, and it was charming. It's engaging. It's a lot of phenomenal comedic performers doing great jobs. Like just phenomenal talent, top to bottom, doing the voices. And yeah, other than that, it was just like, it was fun. It was funny. I had a good time, not a great time, but I do recommend it for anyone.
Yeah, if you like Patton Oswalt in any way, we're huge Patton fans. If you like Marvel, if you like comedy, it's a fun time. It's definitely worth your time.
Yeah, I would say that, and I also agree with you on the fact that like it's shocking and violent and absurd, but it's not juvenile. It does feel like the evolution of what Robot Chicken was, both visually in terms of how it looks. It's a big evolution in terms of its sense of humor and sensibility. It honestly does feel like Robot Chicken grown up. I mean, it is the same, and we say that with love and fondness. It's the same production company. It's Seth Green as an executive producer. It is intended to be that, and it
It
should
is literally
be
that.
But it
as
is
well.
literally that.
Seth Green is older, and
Yeah.
I was like, more sophisticated stop motion comedy for me.
But sometimes creators do get stuck in that moment of Arrested Development where they're like fart jokes forever. Let's never die. You know, your South Parks, your Trey Parker, Matt Stone. Like
I wasn't gonna say South
Yeah.
Park. I was gonna be like North Park or like
Yeah,
give it some leeway. But you're just gonna say South Park.
I'm just gonna say
and
South
I'm gonna
Park.
agree.
Yeah.
I'm gonna 100% agree. But it's crazy because it feels like if you describe the show, it sounds awful. Like there's 8 diarrhea jokes every episode, and that sounds terrible. But it's not. And that
Yeah.
seems impossible, but
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah, I fully. It does seem impossible, doesn't it?
Yes.
But I'm with you. Yeah, the diarrhea jokes work.
The diarrhea jokes land, guys.
They're adult problem diarrhea jokes.
They're relatable diarrhea jokes.
Yeah.
They are not like we gave someone a laxative. They're like, no, you know.
You
You
know.
know.
You've had too much lasagna.
We know you're not children watching this.
Yeah.
And you've all had a day.
Yeah, and it's always strange to talk about creators who do this kind of like fart joke, poop joke humor as someone who's like grown up, because even when you're young and kind of getting into these properties, when it was for our generation or our age, if it was like South Park or Robot Chicken, and it's like we're teenagers, we're juvenile idiots and we like fart jokes, and they do a good job of it, but it's still at that time like 30-year-olds writing to 14-year-olds. And it is weird to be like, once they were 60, they really know how to write to 30-year-olds and call that an evolution. But that is an evolution, and some creators don't do it. And I feel like this really has it for everyone who's working on this.
Yeah, it really does land in an interesting way where it's like it's relatable and also no one makes fun of him for it. It's
Right.
just a thing M.O.D.O.K brings up a lot. And he's also got a weird body. So you're like, yeah, you probably do have digestive issues. Like,
Yeah.
it's just kind of funny in its own right because you're bringing it up so frequently.
I would say, yeah.
And that's the joke. It's not like we're mocking you for having digestive issues. You could just not talk about it.
As people in our 30s, I would say that every friend group has one friend with a weird body where it's just like, is this person gonna show up today? Be like, they might just be shitting themselves into a coma. They have a weird body.
If they cancel on us, we know why and don't take it personally.
They have a weird body.
They have a weird body.
Yeah, not a medical condition.
No.
A weird, because we wouldn't make fun of that. They have a weird body. They've done it to themselves.
They
Yeah.
had a night last night.
Yeah,
And they're
yeah.
having a day today.
Yeah, we all have that person in the friend group.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I think I'm glad we're both on the same page. We're both enjoying it, not loving it, but it sounds like it's a recommend from both of us.
Oh, I would recommend for sure.
And can it be spoiled?
I mean, I guess, but it's like not a lot of plot. It's a stop animation cartoon show.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a goof around diarrhea humor show. Like there's nothing to be spoiled. I don't
and
think.
even as you said, there's very few like belly laughs. I have one belly laugh written down, the one we had to pause the show for.
Right.
And then the rest are very much like it's an episode joke.
Right.
Like the plot is the joke, so it's like you can't even ruin like a one-liner that's going to get told later or something.
And a lot of the joke is in the charm and in the performance as well, and less in the writing. So it's it's hard to even kind of spoil the big laughs for you. So I don't think this can be spoiled.
I don't think it can be spoiled. I guess we didn't need the spoiler-free review.
Nah, we still like to give people a taste.
Still like to-
if they didn't know if they
Just for
wanted to watch
safety
it for
reasons.
safety reasons. You don't know until you do the spoiler-free review
Now you know.
what the spoiler-free review is going to have to say. And it's a spoiler-free review. It's not just about are there spoilers. But that's going to be the spoiler-free review. Before we get into the spoiler-filled section of the episode, we do want to thank our wonderful sponsor of today's episode. You know them and love them. It is our good and longtime friends over at tpublic.com.
It's tpublic.com, and they've got t-shirts, of course. But they've also got...
That's right there in the title.
It's right there in the title. But they've also got so many other things. They got tank tops and multiple different kinds of tank tops. I love bringing this up because I have like 3 different versions. I got racerbacks. I got loosery ones. I don't know the official names for the tank
I think
tops.
Racerback was an official name. Loosery ones
I
is
think
I
there's
don't even think an
loosery
English word. So I don't think
TeePublic, hit me up. We'll work something out. You could buy that from me.
the rights to make loosery tank tops.
Ones, but they have multiple different versions of every kind of shirt, which I think is incredible. Like different kinds of t-shirts. I get the V-necks now. Love the extra space around my neck, and also it looks very stylish. And also the designs on the shirts and the tank tops and the hoodies and whatever else you buy them on. Phenomenal.
Lovely, because it's all designed and submitted by independent artists who are getting paid commission for their work. So when you buy something from tpublic.com, not only are you supporting, you are supporting the independent artist who created that work, and that means that you're also going to get something that's kind of custom and unique and cool and catered to your specific interests. Like one shirt that I am liking this week is a new one we've added to the store. It's a Carnage playing card shirt. So it is that playing card art style of the like person and then mirror image of the person, like a face card from a deck of cards. And it's the letter C, and it is Carnage in that classic 90s Carnage. Like when I close my eyes and picture Carnage,
Carnage.
It is that McFarlane era default Carnage. And I love it. That is Carnage to me, and I really like the design of this because it's all like webbing on the playing card as well. Really cool looking, and it is the exact era of that villain that I really enjoy. The Carnage playing card shirt. That's what I'm liking this week.
I'm feeling your nostalgia during this ad. I absolutely love it. My shirt this week, I'm going a little off the rails. My shirt is actually from our sister podcast, The Villain Was Right. Because we were doing M.O.D.O.K, I chose their comic book villain shirt. So it is Magneto, Loki, the Vulture, and Killmonger, all from the MCU. All in hand-drawn art. Looks really, really great.
Just a
Wonderful.
nice collection of villains.
Nice little collection of the MCU's best.
I
guess Magneto's not MCU. Of Marvel's best.
Of Marvel's best and most relatable villains as well.
Oh, they are. Yeah.
They were the ones who were right.
They were the ones who were right, which is what The Villain Was Right is all about. They made a great shirt.
And if you want to find either of the shirts that we just mentioned or any of the ones we've ever brought up on the podcast, you can find those at our storefront, which is at tpublic.fromsuperheroes.com. That's teepublic.fromsuperheroes.com. And when you shop through our store link, not only do you support the independent artist who created the design with their commissions, but you also directly support this podcast as well. So if you shop through that store link, you will see all of the ones we've mentioned, ones that we've never even brought up. And also if you just search around the site and shop for whatever you're interested in, that'll still support the show. That'll still support the artist who created the art. And it'll still get you something cool, well-priced, well-made, shipped right to your doorstep. It is tpublic.com. Shop through our store link, tpublic.fromsuperheroes.com. And thank you, TeePublic, for your support.
Thank you so much, TeePublic.
And now let's get into the spoiler-filled section. Let's talk everything about M.O.D.O.K. All right, so we have watched all of the M.O.D.O.K now at this point.
I know so much more about M.O.D.O.K than I ever did, which was almost nothing.
Yeah, I knew a medium amount of M.O.D.O.K.
I know that I constantly mixed him up with a guy from Captain America. Damn.
Not Zemo. We were talking about the other
guy in the face.
Oh, come on.
I can't believe I brought this up without looking up his name first.
And you've cursed me as well.
You're part of it. We're in this together.
It is, of course, Zola. Arnim Zola. So you got two guys with like weird faces. Yeah, well, you got one.
And then you got Krang from Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, it's very, very Krang-like. Now, I think the thing that has helped the differentiation between Zola and M.O.D.O.K over the years is that Zola is a head on a computer screen. Sometimes it's a head and a belly, but usually it's like a head and a belly, but on a computer screen, or a head where the head should be, but on a computer screen.
Yeah.
And pre-flat screen TVs, it was a tube TV. A curved TV. For those listeners old enough to remember, CRT tube TVs.
You're right. Zola
it was
did
a
not
curved
have,
screen.
Zola did not have flat screen technology.
Exactly. So old comic book Zola, when it's just like, you get a close-up of a rounded head because it's on a domed, curved TV, and then you get a close-up of M.O.D.O.K, which is that perfectly cylindrical, curved head. They're very similar faces in a comic book before flat-screen television technology, which really helped Zola differentiate his curved face from M.O.D.O.K's curved face.
I think Tiny Arms is up there as well. But
Sure,
you're right.
sure.
You're right. The double curve. We've come a long way, and now we've got claymation M.O.D.O.K, who's got like features, and he's in 3D. And you're like, well, I'm not going to mess him up with Zola.
Yeah, now it's definitely easier to tell them apart, for sure. But I will say that would be the first big positive for me of the show that I was floored by right away. And I did become, sadly, kind of accustomed to it by the end of the season, by the end of the 10 episodes that we watched. But visually, this is so much crisper, sharper, and appealing than I thought it was going to be. I know that I haven't watched a lot of Robot Chicken over the years, but I've watched some, and maybe this has been for that animation studio they use or the group of creatives that they use to do this. Maybe this has been a slow evolution of improving it, but I still remember when I think of Robot Chicken, like those early Robot Chickens, this very chunky, very rough around the edges, and that was part of its charm, animation style. And I did not expect it to look this slick and sharp and to have camera movement in the 3D space. A lot of this was just wildly visually impressive. And it did kind of reach a point where it just became something I was accustomed to. But I would say the first like 2 or 3 episodes, I was very wowed by what they were technologically and visually able to do with the show.
Oh, I will say I agree that it looks good, and I was never wowed, though, because I expected it to look good because it's Marvel. Like, I would, because it's official Marvel. Because Robot Chicken was always just like, we bought an action figure and legally we can show that.
Right.
And then we stop motioned it. So I always thought Robot Chicken kind of looked shitty on purpose. Like, because effort isn't cool sometimes. So yeah, I expected this to look pretty good. So it didn't surprise me, but I do think it looks really good. Like, it does have a lot of movement. It is, considering it's 10 episodes, that's a lot of stop motion to do.
Yeah.
So this is incredibly well done. Like, so much work put into this. Because if it was like 4...
Well, I don't think it is stop motion. I think it is just like
just
3D.
like animated?
Yeah. It is in just a fully CG 3D animated world.
That makes more sense.
But like based on like stop motion scans, probably. I'm not that familiar with the animation process.
Yeah, I also don't know how they animated it. I wouldn't be surprised either way. Because
Yeah.
as I said, it's Marvel. They have so much money.
But I think that money aside, what makes this super impressive is that I can see the evolution from Robot Chicken, where it started and how it ended up here. And obviously this is the, not infinite budget version, but compared to what they were making Robot Chicken with, which you're right is $12 to get an action figure, this is essentially, for all intents and purposes, the infinite budget version of this. But the thing that they did really well that I think other high budget animated stuff doesn't get well is the camera movement. Like the zoom ins, zoom outs, and the change of focus. It felt like I was watching like a mockumentary, like a Parks and Rec or an Office style show. Like they nailed the camera as a character. I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't do mockumentary format and have like these confessional moments with characters. But it felt like it felt like I was watching a true live action single camera workplace comedy. It felt like I was watching The Office.
It's hilarious that that's what you want to compliment, because I was going to compliment all the action scenes where the camera moves so much. Like if M.O.D.O.K and Monica are fighting and they're like going through this huge battle and you're like kind of going through all of AIM with them and they're fighting in different rooms and the camera's constantly changing, not in a workplace sitcom style.
No, but the workplace sitcom style, it is constantly moving.
I guess.
That's what I mean. Like it is in the mockumentary style. It's meant to be like a documentary filmmaker who is constantly like wobbling and moving around.
I guess I'm thinking
and it's
there's
zooming
only
and
like
changing.
one camera usually then, but
Right.
like this would be multicam for the fights and stuff.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think we're saying the same thing though.
All right then. I don't know the terms as well, so I'm like, I think mine's different.
I like the camera movement, and it does move quite a bit, but it feels alive. It feels like there is an actual camera operator moving and deciding what to look at any given time, and it doesn't feel the cold and calculated computer route of this character talks, cut to that character talking. This action happens, cut to that action. It doesn't feel cold and calculated and made by a computer. It does feel like there is a human camera operator who is deciding what to look at in chaotic, unpredictable live events the way that an actual on-camera thing would be.
That's very fair, because some episodes definitely have an incredibly chaotic energy. Not every episode, but a lot of them. Specifically, I will call out the heisting the shield episode with all the C-list villains as the most chaotic energy I might have ever felt in a show in the greatest way. Like, what a ride. I felt like I was on a roller coaster that entire episode, and the fact that they never get there worked.
I think that was the best episode of the season.
I think that was pretty up there. I think I also really liked the one where he was supposed to give a speech, but that was just because that was the one that had the pause line where I couldn't keep going.
That was also the turtle party, right?
That was the
sex
turtle
party. Yeah, that was very
party
good.
Was
that
very
was very
good.
Yeah.
And also I really liked the daughter on the golf course, like telling him how to get into people's heads when they're insecure.
Yeah.
That felt like genuinely not good advice, because you shouldn't gaslight
troubling
people.
Correct.
Troublingly accurate.
Yeah.
Like she was saying things and I'm like, yeah, that would upset me. And I'm like, I would want approval of someone who did this. Yeah, there's a lot going on in this show to compliment on many different levels. Like, it's not just funny jokes about Marvel. It's not just diarrhea jokes, as we said. It is fun action. It is good jokes about everything. It is interesting analysis. Like, there is an arc by the end. Like, we're worried our son is using magic as a way to deflect from his emotions, and we're not giving enough attention to our teenage daughter. Like, there's so much happening here.
I would say to move to one negative of the show for me is that it does feel very interstitial comedy. I would say the worst part of Robot Chicken that has come into this is that it is all very consumable 4 minutes at a time. I would say that there's not any added effort or detail for being a 10-episode season or arc. The A and B plot lines don't intersect. It's not grounded enough to be heartfelt, and it's not random enough to be wacky. They kind of bounce it back and forth between each, where it'll be like, oh, we're having this heartfelt thing between M.O.D.O.K and his daughter. And then it's like, we're doing a fuck party? Is a fuck party anything?
These turtles are killing people with partying, and we're not going to get back to the daughter and father storyline.
And that feels very much like an old Cartoon Network. We needed to fill 6 minutes of airtime between two shows that didn't quite fill the gap type of random interstitial thing. And it just seems disconnected. I would say that the example of what I think this wants to be at times in terms of the combination of randomness with heart is the Harley Quinn animated series.
Ooh,
which has that very grounded, found family, Poison Ivy is my best friend, hijinks, absurdity, but it always becomes, how does that affect my relationship with my best friend? How does that affect my personal life? And it does, but this never quite ties those strings together in that way.
I think a few episodes I feel like a few episodes can't decide what they want to be, because I feel like the episode where they time travel actually does it really well. When they watch themselves in the past for 17 years in the window, they fall back in love, they go to the concert. That did have an absurdity level, like a chicken comes to life and tries to murder them. That had absurdity and heart, but I'm not sure any other episode had that same level of absurdity and heart. Other episodes had heart and no absurdity, and then other episodes had absurdity, like the heist episode, and not a lot of heart.
Yeah.
So I think that was a very early episode. I think that was the second episode where they time travel back. And that was the only one that I'm like, they nailed this level of absurdity and heart. But you either have to decide if you're going to be like a show you can just watch any episode of, or if you're an arcing show with a story you're trying to tell.
And if you're gonna try to be both, it's a difficult thing to thread. And Harley Quinn is an example of doing it well, but it is tough to do. Yeah, I think the example of why, what I would say as the proof of why it doesn't work, other than you're right, that time travel episode, is that if you were to cut the opening and the first scene and last scene of all of these episodes and showed them to someone who hasn't seen this season, they wouldn't be able to pair the correct first to last scenes. So it's like each given episode, the ending is not influenced by what the beginning of the episode was. It does just kind of go wherever it wants to go, with the exception of that time travel episode. And you should be able to pair first scenes with final scenes to be like, here was the setup for that episode. How did that pay off in the end?
That is a good point.
They never quite have an arc.
That is a good point, because there's very few episodes where I watch the first bit and I'm like, oh, I know what this episode will be about. They don't set up an inciting incident till about 8 minutes in, because they have as much time as they want, because it's a streaming service. So they like go to 24 to 26 minutes. Probably doesn't need to be that long each episode. They don't feel draggy, but like you can make it real tight and real energized if you shorten it up a little bit.
Or even split it up. Like, I do feel like most of the episodes could be 2 different 12-minute episodes. Like, this honestly feels like it's something that would really work and kind of be something different for Marvel if they went the Pixar route. Like, you know how anytime you see a Pixar movie in theaters, they have like a short animated film before you see the movie. If any MCU movie had like a 6-minute M.O.D.O.K at the beginning, like, this seems like actually kind of the format where that would really shine and work, and it would be that kind of like, oh, you don't need an arc, you don't need a through line for a seasonal. It really feels like if you just chopped this into 6-minute segments and started dropping them as little animated shorts. Obviously, you can't do that now, but if they did that, that is where this would shine the most.
Yeah, everyone would talk about that. They'd be like, did you see that short where M.O.D.O.K got Iron Man's boot right before the movie started?
Yeah.
That was really funny, right?
Yeah.
What was up with that? What was up with that?
Which brings me to like a weird business thing about this, is that it is Marvel's M.O.D.O.K, which right off the bat is weird, because since they've started doing these Disney Plus shows, they've given up on the Marvel's precursor. Like, it was Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it was Marvel's Agent Carter. They used that as like the precursor to be like, I know it's on ABC, but don't worry, it's still Marvel. And like be like, just so you know, it's still the thing that we own and we are doing. And I thought that they would be dropping that as they kind of brought everything together with their Disney Plus shows with like Loki and Falcon. I know that's all in the MCU, but it bothers me a bit that it's not just called M.O.D.O.K, that they have to be like, it's Marvel's M.O.D.O.K.
It doesn't bother me. 2 reasons. One, it's a Hulu show. So Hulu viewers aren't like, I'm expecting new Marvel series on here. You're not going to get your Lokis or your Falcons and Winter Soldiers or whatever. So I get that. And also, I also get it because M.O.D.O.K is such an unknown property. You don't have to put Marvel's Loki on anything. We all know who Loki is, but we don't know who M.O.D.O.K is. So I think you do need that Marvel's M.O.D.O.K, or else you just be like, what a weird looking cartoon. I'm not going to watch that.
Okay.
Because people, I think, aren't as tied in as us to like what's coming out, what Patton Oswalt personally is doing, because we're big fans. So I think you need the Marvels.
Okay.
In this one particular instance, I think if it was a Disney exclusive, you actually wouldn't. But because it's on Hulu and because he's kind of unknown, I get it in this instance.
And I don't understand why it's on Hulu.
I don't get any of it.
It makes no sense.
The only thing I can understand is I was on the Wikipedia earlier. Apparently, this has been in production with Patton for like 6 years, like pre-Disney Plus.
Oh, okay.
So it might have been in contract with Hulu already, as Disney Plus was kind of getting off its feet.
Okay,
and Disney
might make
Plus
sense.
was like, we like it. We'll take a little bit of that.
Right. Yeah, especially now, because all of these like meaningless subdivisions within things that one company own are getting more and more frustrating. Like, I don't necessarily love the monopolistic practices of everything getting bought by 2 companies.
Not great.
Which is not great, but it's also not great that everything is owned by 2 companies, but has that 2 companies that own 4 different streaming services. You know what I mean? Where it's like between all of them, it's like, okay, well, Disney owns that, but does Disney own that for Disney Plus or for Hulu or for, I think they might own Paramount Plus. I don't know, but there's like CBS All Access, and now Discovery Plus also bought one of the other, AT&T. So like there's 9 different platforms all owned by the same. It gets frustrating and annoying. It
is frustrating. That I'm for. I'm with you on. Yeah, it is weird to be like, you can have this show on both your platforms, but it's weekly on Disney Plus?
I guess.
Okay, what's that do for you?
Yeah, what does that do? What does that do for you is a great way of putting it.
What is the benefit bit of that to you. I guess maybe just because Disney Plus has kind of leaned more into all of their shows are weekly releases. Like we're watching Mighty Ducks and that's weekly released. All of the other Marvel shows are weekly releases. I guess they're just like, we're weekly people here at Disney Plus.
Is it weirdly them using one streaming service to advertise the other? To be like, do you like this and want more of it right away? Do you also have a Hulu subscription? Maybe?
Maybe. I don't know.
And then the final like businessy thing that I don't super enjoy about this show, that it feels like they were afraid to go all in on because of the value of the MCU, which is that I was hoping and very much kind of spoiled by the Harley Quinn animated series, where it's like, let's go fucking bananas. We're using every registered character ever in every regard to do anything with them. Like, we're going to murder Bruce Wayne. Joker's a bartender. No one cares. We're going all out.
We're our own universe. We can do whatever we want.
And I was expecting M.O.D.O.K to very much have that vibe, to be like, M.O.D.O.K's the central, but we're going to go ape shit in the Marvel universe because we can, because everyone knows this doesn't exist in the MCU. It's a weird animated show. But it feels like they really just wanted to use like a touch of Iron Man, and other than that, due to the value of the intellectual property, didn't want to touch anything that could possibly be connected to the movies in any regard ever.
I think it's so weird that only Iron Man is in this. And I wonder if it's because Tony Stark is dead and there's no more Iron Man movies. So you can kind of sully Iron Man in the M.O.D.O.K show if you want, because we don't have to worry about people being like, wait, the Iron Man from upcoming Iron Man 5? Like, it's just an Iron Man. But everyone else who still has movies coming out, you can't touch them. We never see another Avenger. We see their weapons.
Yeah.
And we know they exist. But it is very strange on a show where you have it's Marvel's. You have the rights to everyone. You don't need to get the movie actors because John Hamm's playing Iron Man here. You can get anyone you want to voice any of them. And you only got Iron Man. Like, where's Cap? Where's Black Widow? Who did you kill that one episode where you had the skull of an Avenger? Because I thought it was Hawkeye, but then he's alive.
And that was the other one where I'm like, oh, they didn't let you do the things you wanted to do, huh? Like, someone in Marvel's legal was like, actually, if you show the death of Captain America, it's going to traumatize children and actually hurt our brand. We've done research that shows that we're going to get a 12% negative return on box office if you show the death of a character in an anime. Like, clearly there was some boring legalese that went on that kind of hampered this. And yeah, that scene of M.O.D.O.K being like, I killed an Avenger. I can't say which one. You all, and like, they made a joke of it and they hung a lantern on it and it was funny. But the fact that they had to do that says that someone was holding them back and holding the reins on this show. And I find that really frustrating for a show that's like, they're still very, very careful with how they use Iron Man. He only has 3 scenes, is never harmed, and like is only lightly made fun of. M.O.D.O.K gets his boot, and then later when M.O.D.O.K, air quote, foils Iron Man, it's by calling animals, and Iron Man just goes, oh no, a rat. And that is the most that a hero is harmed in this show. A show that's like blasting off arms, mutating people with dogs, ripping limbs off, hideous, horrible torture and stuff.
Yeah,
shitting yourself to death on camera. And
they did brutally kill Balder, but Balder's already been killed in the MCU by Hela. So they were willing to throw Balder under the bus over on Asgard. Okay. But so that's all they were able to do. But then they bring in Wonder Man as well, this like D-list hero who I only know because they pretty much probably won't ever use him in the MCU because he's Vision's actual mind. Complicated comic book shit coming in at you.
I vaguely remember this, yeah.
So I'm like, with Wonder Man's here, it makes me think you weren't allowed to use big heroes, but Iron Man's here. I just don't get it. I have no idea what rules you were given for heroes if you went with Wonder Man and Iron Man are the 2 people we could show.
Well, I guarantee you Iron Man, the reason they use Wonder Man is because they had to get approval from legal for all of the Iron Man scenes. Like, for Wonder Man to be dating M.O.D.O.K's ex-wife or whatever.
Tony Stark can't do that.
Tony Stark can't do that. And maybe there's a original version of the script where Tony Stark's like, me and Pepper are broken up, or I'm cheating on my wife, and they make fun of how he's kind of how a billionaire would be, which is probably like a womanizer asshole, and he's an alcoholic in the comics. Like, he's a bad dude for most of the time.
That's how Robot Chicken would do that joke.
Yes.
But they can't
to be
do
like,
it.
I'm drunk, I cheat on Pepper, who fucking cares? Like, that's how they would do Iron Man. But legal wouldn't approve those scenes. So they're like, we want Wonder Man so we can, what character can we use? And then we can do whatever we want. And legal came back.
They looked under the bed. They're like, who do we got there? We have it. Whew. Just some dust off Wonder Man here. Yeah, you can have him. Vision's got his own brain. That's fine. Ship of Theseus shit going on. He's busy.
But it's just a shame, because if you're going to create this sandbox, you got to let them play. You've got to let them play.
You've got to let them play. And it's such a weird difference when you have watched a lot of Robot Chicken and you're like, everyone's there. Like, every Robot Chicken just used whoever they wanted. They used Iron Man, Batman, Supergirl, everyone they wanted. So then to be like, you only get Iron Man, but also he can't have any fun. You're like, nah, come on.
Come on.
Let him play, coach.
Which is this weird double-edged sword. Now we're getting kind of like a bigger picture tangent, but, go with me for a moment, please,
I'll
listener.
travel with you.
And Diana, please travel with me. I assumed you would. You're here with me. But it's, for better or worse, it's this double-edged sword with Marvel, with Disney's Marvel, how careful they are with everything that they own. So obviously this show had to jump through hoops and make sure of certain things to get approval for certain characters, blah, blah, blah. And they're very careful with their intellectual property. And in some regards, that raises its value. It makes everything more carefully curated. It makes things like just a little bit shinier. But then it reduces this kind of ability for chaotic creativity. And then when you compare it to stuff that's going on over at DC, and it's like, with DC Warner Brothers, it's like, do we need a fourth imagining of the Joker? No, but I like that they're just like, fucking do them 7 times. Who cares?
Do an animated. Do a movie. Do a different animated.
Yeah. Here's Joker. Here's Joker. Here's Joker. And that why do I forget her name now? From Big Bang, the voice of Harley Quinn.
Kaylee Cuoco.
Kaylee Cuoco. Yeah, that Kaylee Cuoco could come and be like, I want to EP this, I want to do this. And they're like, yeah, who cares? Have all of them. Literally every fucking character
You're Harley Quinn.
ever
Margot
created.
Robbie's Harley Quinn. We got tons of Harley Quinns going on.
Yeah, that James Gunn can come in and do a Suicide Squad and be like, what movies do you have planned? They're like, don't touch these 6 people. He's like, great, I'm going to use literally everything else is fair game. So there is to be like, let's do another Batman while we're still not sure what we're doing with the DCEU.
I don't know. I mean,
and
it's fun when you say it, but we also mock them mercilessly for these things as well.
Well, this is the double-edged sword that I'm saying. Sometimes it is stupid and terrible and bananas and unnecessary. And sometimes you get animated Harley Quinn, or maybe whatever James Gunn's Suicide Squad is going to be like. You might get these beautiful, brilliant, chaotic things because no one cares, but it's like children without supervision. Sometimes they make shit soup, and sometimes they just fucking make art. Like, you don't know what kids are going to do unsupervised, but then Marvel just has this, so much supervision that I can feel it oozing through the pores of this show that lawyers were involved as much as writers were.
Yeah, and you can feel the supervision kind of get tighter as the years go on. Like, the supervision was less during, say, Iron Fist and Inhumans, when ABC was allowed to make shows. But now that everything is like Marvel Disney, it's on Disney Plus, every Marvel movie is us, everything connected to the MCU is us, they've become very precious with the IP.
Yeah.
And it's gotten very tight rein to the point where they're like, you will never see a bad show from us. The pandemic ruined Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
But the rest of them.
For again, for better or worse, because it wasn't always good. The tides changed probably around the time that ABC was like, trust us. Inhumans, we got this. And Marvel was like, you know what? We don't know. We're taking back the TV division.
You're fired,
we're done.
ABC.
Netflix is like, trust us. Iron Fist, we got this. And then Disney would be like, no, we got to take so no one gets a second chance. But there was some beauty in that chaos that happened. So I don't know. That's just a bigger picture thing. Apologies for the tangent.
Andrew's always looking at the bigger picture, but I think we're talking about M.O.D.O.K.
Bring it back to M.O.D.O.K.
Bring it back to M.O.D.O.K. I will say, this is another double-edged sword, maybe not double-edged, but the first half of this season is so much stronger than the second half.
Yeah.
And that's kind of sad.
It
because,
wanes
like,
towards the
my
end.
energy was really like we didn't binge this. We watched it over several days. We broke it up, so it wasn't just that I was physically tired, but like I think this show peaks on heist episode with those C-list villains, and then the energy just kind of like drops, and it never really finds itself again. There's a couple of good jokes after that, but not good episodes. Like, God, it was so funny the two kinds of goats in Asgard.
That was funny, yeah.
The fact that one of his goats faints and one of his goats screams is hilarious. That is, from every angle, a phenomenal joke. The rest of the episode doesn't match that joke, but that's a very good joke. But I think the first 4 episodes are really solid.
Really
for
strong.
like joke and story connections. To the day I die, I will laugh about you're doing a poverty-themed escape room. Hope you get out. What a sick burn.
That was savage. We had to pause it for that one. Like, that one hurt you.
It was so incredible that you would look at someone's apartment and be like, ooh, poverty-themed escape room. Hope you get out. It still kills me. He didn't get out.
And he did not.
He cleaned it up.
He did clean it up.
But he didn't get any money by the end. Or I guess if you consider that we're in the future at the end, maybe. I don't really know.
Maybe, yeah, there was a bit of a time jump there.
I don't really know what reality is.
Yeah. So this is the thing then about like tying the storylines together. His wife divorces him and he gets the shitty apartment. And the arc for M.O.D.O.K here is that M.O.D.O.K starts reading his wife's book, and his wife's book is all about like kind of like Zen mind lifestyle connection, like clean your living space, meditation, like how to get your life together. A self-help book, essentially.
Basically.
Self-help / organization book. And he's doing these steps to make his life better, but he never really, like, once he heeds her advice and he reads her book, and he previously has been unsupportive of her and never read his wife's book before and had no control over his life. And now he's reading her and supporting her from a distance and like is cleaning his shit together, cleaning his apartment up and getting his shit together. And his wife never sees that. And they just have like a random scene unrelated at some point where she's like, come on back, I guess. Like, we'll try it. Like, just in the final episode of the season, she's like, hang around. But she's not seen any of the improvements that he's made.
Yeah, that was a real misstep. Like, she doesn't know that he finally read her book. She doesn't know that he's made these steps in his life. Even at work, he's like decided to let things go genuinely and be like, I'm just going to try to be the best M.O.D.O.K I can be. I really took some lessons when the melter died and I got to turn over a new leaf. Like, he's genuinely changed, but she never finds out in a way that's not interesting.
Yeah.
It's not that he doesn't tell her. She genuinely never finds out. So there's no reason for her to be like, I take you back, M.O.D.O.K, except for the thrill of the kill during the Murder Robots episode, which usually leads to like sex, but not a relationship reblooming. You'll be like, adrenaline high from killing robots. Let's have sex. But that doesn't fix the problems of your marriage, which were very clear. And he doesn't become supportive of her. He doesn't come over and he's like, I was wrong. Your brand is incredible. It's changing lives. Let's go all in on Jody.
Right.
Like, if he's going to give up his dreams of making M.O.D.O.K City, his arc should be, we're going all in on Jody.
Or even Jody's arc of realizing that she is flawed as well. Like, this arc of like her being like so obsessed with her brand that she gives her child peanut allergies so that he has a trendy allergy. Like, she's literally harming her children to sell more books.
She uses Wonder Man and has no idea that he has feelings for her. She just wants to be more famous.
She uses people and abuses their children. Mm-hmm. And so she is realizing she's no better than M.O.D.O.K. And M.O.D.O.K is realizing that he needs to get as good as her. But they never know that they're meeting in the middle that way. They just kind of randomly are around one another.
Yeah, it doesn't quite match up. It's the second half of the season flaw, because the first half of the season feels like it's managing that. Yeah. And the second half just kind of drops the ball on the family storyline. And like, what if things were a little bit silly at work more? They really focus on like the Austin and the board of directors. Yeah, and Monica is really weirdly used in this like work rival that just kind of shows up with a rivalry and then disappears for I feel like 6 episodes. I feel like she's only in half the episodes, but she's like feels like she should be in more. I think everyone disappears a little too much. Like the daughter is Melissa Fumero, and I was like, some episodes she's not even there. And I'm like, what? But she's like second build. Where did the daughter go this episode?
And she did all the press. Like, all the press for the show I've seen, it's Patton Oswalt and Melissa Fumero. Has from Brooklyn Nine-Nine is Melissa Fumero's, big thing right now, or for the past while. But all of the press I've seen, it's like Patton and Melissa's show. It's Patton and Melissa's show. It's Patton and Melissa's show. And when the show started, I thought Melissa was voicing the wife.
I also thought Melissa was voicing the wife. And I'm like, wow, doesn't really sound like her.
And that's why I was impressed. I was like, I didn't know you had this vocal range, Melissa. You are unrecognizable. Because that's how long it takes for the daughter to even show up and then not be around at all.
She's hardly in episode 1. She has no arc in episode 1.
Yeah.
So I was like confused. Because I'm like, it really doesn't sound like her. And I checked the cast list. I'm like, oh, she's the daughter.
Oh.
She hasn't had lines yet.
Yeah.
But like Ben Schwartz right away.
Yeah. Well, Ben Schwartz is just one of the most recognizable voices and is being lovely and charming. But and they're all doing great voice work as well. Yeah.
They're all doing great voice work. But yeah, I mean, I have very little to say about Ben Schwartz other than what a gift this man is.
What a gift.
What a treat. What an absolute treasure. I'd die for Ben Schwartz. I love this guy so much.
I love Ben Schwartz. I will say real quick, I love everyone. Like, I know I was kind of harping on, like, I didn't know Melissa wasn't the lead and the daughter's only in a few episodes. She's phenomenal. Like, Patton is fucking tap dancing in this show. Like, Patton is performing with the type of charm and charisma of him doing like a stand-up set at a venue that doesn't have air conditioning and everyone's kind of asleep. Like, I've seen stand-up comedians have that type of like just vivacious performance where it's just, there's no AC, it's too warm, the show started 40 minutes late, everyone's falling asleep, it's miserable, and they're like, hey, come on, please, everybody have a good, like, just selling the living shit out of every second. Patton is going to town. Melissa does a phenomenal job. Amy, who's the voice of his wife, I think really owns that character really well. And yeah, Ben Schwartz just doing everything with Lou.
Unstoppable, to the point where they're like, what if there was 2 of him? And I'm like, love it. I like 2 Lou's. I'll take it. Yeah, everything about his performance is so good. I can't get enough Ben Schwartz. I hope they make a Sonic 2.
I mean, they're already making it, baby.
Excellent.
And then like lots of like phenomenal little guest stars. They got like, Bill Hader and Nathan Fillion. John Daly as the Adaptoid is really fun as well.
I will say, Nathan Fillion really typecasting himself because Wonder Man is just Captain Hammer.
It is just.
But he's so incredible.
It is just. Is it Captain Hammer? I thought it was the Hammer.
No, he's Captain.
He's Captain. Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, my bad.
No, it's been years. How old is Doctor? Yeah, it's been a minute.
Old.
It's been a hot minute. So yeah.
We're old.
We are old, but so is Dr. Horrible.
Yeah, fair enough.
And Nathan Fillion.
He's also old. We're all old together.
The whole point of the new show is that he's a rookie who's old, you see.
That's his show. Did not know that was still on the air until I saw it trending on Twitter last week. I was like, rookie's still going.
Fillion's still in it.
Good for you, Nathan.
I would say everyone did a really good job. I thought Alan Tudyk, incredibly underused as Arcade. Arcade did nothing.
Yeah, Arcade, I think they had him for an hour or something. Like, it was just one of those things.
He recorded on his phone.
Yeah, it might have been that. They got him for a minute.
But, like, Tudyk normally is, like, a standout, like, Ben Schwartz type, Patton Oswalt type.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, Tudyk doesn't get what he needs to do. But for the most part, I'm going to say 99% phenomenal voice performances in this show, to the point where a lot of our criticisms have been, like, kind of writing and how different plot lines intersect and the arc of the season. If they cast the wrong people, this show doesn't work, I think, in any regard.
No, it would fall flat in its face.
I'm going to say it's 100% every casting is the perfect performer for who that role is. There's not one bad voice in the bunch. I would,
totally agree. Because, like we said, Melissa Fumero is doing a great job, but writing-wise and credits-wise, we're like, she wasn't in the first 2 hardly at all, and that's not on her performance, obviously. To give even more credit to Patton, I don't know if you noticed this, he wrote the episode about the C-list villains.
Oh, that was his. I knew he wrote a couple of the episodes, and he's the series creator as well.
Yeah, so he co-wrote the pilot, and he singularly wrote the episode with the villains, which was the most chaotic, fun episode of the show by far.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was. I didn't know this was a medieval-themed restaurant. It isn't. Confusing. Whoa.
Nightloaf. Night Loaf is a very, very funny joke. Like, I love Night Loaf as just a random all-night meatloaf restaurant that is not medieval themed, but it is spelled night with a K.
And it's run by a knight.
Night
with a
but
K.
it's not medieval themed.
It's not medieval themed. Please don't think that it is. This is a very small thing that I liked, and this is such a tiny thing to compliment the show on. There is a weird thing in animation, not weird, but when two kind of people that don't look the same or are a different species or something have kids in animation, the daughters always look like the mom and the sons always look like the dad. Like when Donkey and the Dragon have kids in Shrek or whatever. That happens.
All right, you know more Shrek lore than I do.
Some Shrek
I'm not
lore.
up to date on my Shrek canon.
Or even like Lady and the Tramp, like the female dogs look like Lady, the male dogs look like Tramp. In this show, it's such a small thing, but I'm really glad that they flipped it, that the daughter looks like M.O.D.O.K and the son looks like the mom. It's I don't know why. It felt like just they're like, let's do a little bit more effort.
I hadn't thought about or analyzed that, but I'm with you 100%. It's fun.
I don't have anything further to add to it other than way to just not fall into the trope, you guys.
A fun subversion of what is traditionally how it's done, and also just a really fun visual gag because you look at M.O.D.O.K and you look at his very normal wife, and just like when the kids first show up and they show Lou. And that hard cut to Melissa made me laugh so hard. The fact that she is a child in the floaty chair with a head that big, that was just too funny to me. I really like that. That delineation is hilarious.
The delineation is funny, and I also really applaud that they made her popular. She is not like ridiculed or like a outcast for being different at school. She's a popular girl.
Right.
She's genuinely popular.
She's the successful manipulator that he wishes that he was.
Yeah, but like because she's physically different, she is an outcast, which I think is a good part of the show as well. Yeah, they found humor and mockery in ways that aren't hurtful in real life.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
which felt really nice. Like we said with the diarrhea jokes and with her being very accepted at school and like. If people don't like her, it's because she's catfishing them online, not because of what she looks like.
Yeah. And she's her father's daughter. Lou, they didn't quite know as much what to do with. I feel like the magic story didn't really go anywhere.
Magic didn't go anywhere.
Didn't pay off.
He didn't even use having two of him to then do better magic.
Ooh, you're right. That would have been ideal to do better
Prestige.
magic. Yeah.
The fucking Prestige, Lou.
Yeah.
You got two of you.
He doesn't do it.
Doesn't do anything with it. He doesn't even do magic again after he gets a double. Really.
Damn.
Yeah, they really kind of stops after the episode where he cuts his dad in half in Asgard.
Yeah, I suppose he does. Hadn't really thought about it. But yeah, I would say Melissa. That's also weird that Melissa is played by Melissa Fumero. I know Melissa's a very common name, and this is not an actual criticism of the show, as sometimes a lot of the things that I say are not. But a small pet peeve of mine is when like a show or a movie and the character is named the actor, but they don't do it for everyone. It's something that you can do for comedy to be like, our lead character has a character name, and everyone else. No one gives a shit. Paul Rudd, your character's name Paul. Melissa Fumero, your character's name Melissa. Who cares?
We're pulling a full The Office.
Yeah, and that's fine. But when you do just one character, I don't know why it bothers me.
It does, because there's no reason for that name to be set in stone like that.
Ah, right.
There's no reason that she can't be Melissa. You know,
sure. Or another better name.
I blanked on every possible name as I started to say that sentence.
Here's $1. Name a single woman.
Oh no! I'm a woman. What's my name? Oh, no.
Name one woman. Here's $1. Ah!
Yeah, I blanked. Melissa. I said Melissa, and he wouldn't give me the $1.
Yeah, you wouldn't get Billy's $1 for Melissa.
Billy, I didn't earn that $1. So yeah, it's weird when it's just one and they don't change it. But yeah, you can have like a Will Smith Will, and then everyone else has a real name.
Yeah.
Or a fake name or whatever we want to say. But yeah, it's also strange.
All right, well, I think that's all I had to say about Marvel's M.O.D.O.K. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. Nice little analysis of Marvel in general, M.O.D.O.K. in specific, and Melissa for the win.
I'm also laughing now just thinking about what if Patton Oswalt's legal name was M.O.D.O.K.? Because you're like, well, you would have to do it if it was set in stone. Like, yeah, I guess if Patton's name was M.O.D.O.K., they would have to roll with it. It's the only place my
Maybe
mind's
it's
going.
his middle name.
Just M.O.D.O.K and Melissa, the classic characters.
Those classic duos.
All right, well, let's go in for the close where we ask the final question of what would you change? So now that we've discussed everything, what would you change about this if you could change anything? But before we do ask the final question, we remind you, as we do every week, to please follow, subscribe, rate, review, click, just go ham.
Click everything.
Click
it all.
everything for this podcast. It is really helpful. Every podcast tells you to do this, and there is a reason for it. It's because it's sincerely how we move up the charts, how a lot of these podcast apps will decide if they're going to recommend us to or show us to a potential new listener.
We tried to give them $1 and they wouldn't take it.
They would not take the dollar, but also they couldn't name a woman, so they didn't earn it. Algorithms. But no, rate, review, subscribe. It helps us find new listeners. It's the only way that we move up and improve this podcast and get new people on board. And then also when people are thinking about hitting subscribe or checking it out, people do check out those reviews. And even if they don't, me and Diana do. We read them. It warms our heart. I was reading a bunch the other day. It was all wonderful and lovely, and I really appreciate all of you who've made reviews. It really is helpful.
Thank you all so much who have left reviews, and thank you those of you who will. I'm looking at you, whoever's listening to this right now and hasn't left a review.
I'm talking to you, Melissa.
You, M.O.D.O.K.
If there's someone listening to this named Melissa, hit us up on social media. Leave a review. Leave a review that just says, "Hi, I'm Melissa."
And we'll be like,
"Oh
she's
shit,
real.
she's here."
I get my $1.
It's the one from our dreams. It's You would get $1.
I get
would
$1.
legally earn $1 then.
I'd have to let Billy know.
You would have, yeah. So Melissa or anyone, yeah. It doesn't have to be a complicated review. You could just say "noise" or call us a plate of soup, whatever makes you happy. So do that on whatever podcast app that you use. And again, I know every podcast tells you to do this. Take 5 to 10 minutes and make a 10-minute window of it. Hit up other podcasts that you listen to too. You can literally take 10 minutes out of your day, do a bunch of free shit, and do a couple free things, and make a bunch of podcasts you listen to happy and improve.
Genuinely will.
Yeah. And as well, if you want to get cool bonuses from us and support the podcast monetarily, you can check us out over on Patreon, which is a monthly subscription service where you can subscribe to us and get different unique bonuses depending on your subscription level. And you can do whatever's in the budget. You can do $1 a month, 5, 10, 15. You know what numbers are, all of them. You can do that per month. You can do it per year. If you do it yearly, you get a bit of a discount. You get a month free, essentially, if you do a year. But you can do monthly. You can do yearly. Once that month or year is up, you can cancel your subscription. You can change the value if your budget has changed. Whatever is in the budget, you do you. But we have cool bonuses waiting for you, like our webcomic, Text from Superheroes. You get it a day early. We have exclusive episodes of the podcast at the hero level. Every month, we do an episode that's only on our Patreon page.
Yeah, you immediately get access to all the old episodes immediately, so you can sign up for as long as you want, as little as you want, as fast as you can listen to that backlog of Talk from Superheroes if you need some more of that us in your life, and we'll cover topics we never cover on the regular podcast, and they're ad-free, and they're real fun.
Ad-free, real fun. You get a special nickname whenever you do
Diana
it.
Nickname.
Melissa, she's good at
man.
names.
Who wants to be Melissa? Next person who signs up, you're Melissa.
If a Melissa signs up, oh, you better believe that's Melissa.
That's my Melissa.
Melissa, we're talking to you. You could be Melissa. Before, we were talking to Melissa. Melissa, leave a review. Hit us up. Melissa, hit us up on Patreon. You'll get the nickname Melissa. And then the cycle continues.
And hopefully you'll love it.
Check us out on Patreon. Patreon.com/FromSuperheroes. That's Patreon.com/FromSuperheroes. And now let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change? Diana, what would you change?
My big change if a show is episodic, does that mean it has storylines or it doesn't?
Doesn't.
It doesn't. Okay,
It doesn't.
I would make this more episodic. I don't think it really needs arcs. I feel like this would be a very fun, kind of more Robot Chicken-esque if it's just check in on AIM or check in on his family every week and there's not really a season-long arc going on. Then I think it could be 6 minutes shorter every episode. It could be punchier, because the best episodes were the ones that weren't part of the arc. The C-list villain heist doesn't have anything to do with his family. Doesn't really have much to do with losing AIM to Grumble or whatever they were called.
Yeah.
Going to just a villain's kind of conference with his kids. doesn't have anything to do with his family. Like, you can still be married or just be divorced the whole time. I don't care either way. But I just think I think if they were standalone episodes, the show would actually be better. And, like, it's not a show that needs a season-long arc. Especially if you're watching it weekly and not in a big bunch on Hulu like we did. So you can just be like, oh, I wonder what M.O.D.O.K's doing. It doesn't matter if you've seen any other episodes. I think you should just be able to pop in. I think that would make it choppier and funner. I don't know if choppier is the word I wanted there, but more fun, more zingers.
Yeah.
More zingers.
Yeah, more single servings.
More single servings. Like, oh no, I made a portal to Asgard and my kid's stuck in there. Great. Not related to anything else that's happened.
Right.
Fun stuff. So yeah, I would just make them more standalone episodes. That's my big change.
I would fully get on board with that. Absolutely fully get on board.
What's your change, Andrew?
I would say that I could definitely get on board with that. I would also say that I don't need the get back together with the wife storyline. The relationship with the daughter storyline is way more interesting. And at no point am I really rooting for him and his wife to get back together. But him and his daughter do/can and deserve a relationship. And I was kind of rooting for that. So I don't necessarily need these long arc elements. I can get on board with what you're saying of just like, let's do fun interstitials, just kind of punch in and out. But if there's going to be something that grounds this show, it should be the daughter. The one who is the successful version of him and will grow into the successful version of him and wants a relationship that she's not getting. And I think that there's so much heart there that could really work.
I love that. And I think you can actually still do that in standalone episodes.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need the marriage falling apart arc for that to be a thing. Like, that happens every week on sitcoms.
Right.
With families. Yeah, definitely. Definitely more with the daughter is very, very interesting stuff. And then Lou's just always doing background crazy shit.
Yeah. And I think Lou is like a funny, chaotic, neutral thread to have in the background. Because whether M.O.D.O.K takes over the world or not, Lou's a magician. Like, that is how I view Lou. That, like, on all these alternate timelines that the previous version of him went on, there should be a background gag where no matter what, Lou's a magician. Like, nothing has... Lou is just doing Lou. It does not change. But Melissa's life changes in correspondence with M.O.D.O.K's. Like, I feel like that should be the thread.
Yeah, that's true. No, that would work.
And I think that that would be a really fun way. And a relationship that I think is way more interesting to explore than ex-spouses.
I think it is, especially because the wife feels better off without M.O.D.O.K in pretty much every way.
Yeah, well, they frankly both feel better off without one another. Like, M.O.D.O.K's a piece of shit, but he, at least once he's alone, is forced to reconcile that and improve as a person and not just have a punching bag to throw everything in his life on. So, yeah, they're both better off without one another. And at no point do I feel like they should be together, deserve to be together, or are destined to be together, you know?
Just a show about two divorced people. Love it. Love it. Great changes.
Boom. And just make it, just quick hit, in and out. Cut it into 6 minutes. Put it before the movies. Do a Pixar.
Do it. Come on.
Do the other thing you own, Disney.
We know it works.
You know it. You own the thing that has proven that it works,
and
Disney.
It's just far enough away from everything going on in MCU, like characters you don't know, like M.O.D.O.K you don't care about, you're never going to see him in the movies now. Yeah, it works.
All right, well, I think that's going to do it for M.O.D.O.K for this week. Next week on the podcast, we are going to be talking about Quiet Place.
Number 1.
The Quiet Place. Number 1, in anticipation of the second one being released in July.
No, out that week.
That week?
That week.
I don't know when things come out anymore.
I think you're thinking July because we can't see it until it streams, which is in July.
Oh, okay,
because we cannot see it in theaters. The theaters are not open.
Theaters are not open here. So some of our, depending on where you are in the world, some places theaters have begun/are reopened, in which case maybe you can check out Quiet Place too. Here in Toronto, Canada, they are not, in which case we won't. But either way, next week we will be talking about The Quiet Place 1.
Numero uno.
When it starts to be quiet.
Ooh, quiet first.
It'll be loud at the beginning, and then it's going to get quiet pretty quick.
Oh, shit. Should we just do like a silent episode?
would be fucking miserable.
We'll say as many lines as they say in the movie.
Right. Should it just be like a blank audio file, or should I record room noise?
Oh, we're gonna do room noise.
Yeah, they would.
We're
People
gonna
need the
slowly
room
move.
noise.
Like you can hear us drink our drinks.
Okay, little
We're
something.
gonna be sitting here.
Fridge kick on in the background.
Scar might woof.
Yeah, that'd be fun. All right, so we'll consider that as an option, or maybe a normal episode. But
Avant-garde.
there's only one way to find out how artistic we truly are. And that is to come back next week. In the meantime, if you want to reach us, you can hit me up on Twitter at Ivimey, Ivimey.
You can reach me at Words of Diana.
And you can reach both of us at From Superheroes. And we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.